Greetings from Geneva. My name is Anabel González, and I'm Deputy Director General at the World Trade Organization. It is my great pleasure to address 2022 International Conference on Digital Trade. The theme for this year's conference could not be more timely. Digital trade provides an extraordinary opportunity for businesses and countries worldwide to become better integrated into the global economy and tap the benefits of international trade. Reinvigorating international trade so that it can continue to drive growth and development is particularly important at a time when the continuing impacts from COVID-19, the war in Ukraine, food and energy insecurity, a cost of living crisis, monetary tightening, and extreme weather events are posing serious challenges to businesses and policymakers all around the world. Yet, digital technologies and digital trade are not a panacea. They pose significant challenges that need collective responses. My argument today is that only by joining forces and strengthening cooperation within and across countries and between the private and the public sector can we ensure that digital trade delivers tangible benefits for people everywhere. So let me start with the opportunities. They are many and they are important. We know, for example, that digital technologies such as broadband internet, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and 3D printing can be a game changer for improving the productivity of companies. They can reduce the cost of doing business and of trading across borders. They can facilitate the coordination of international production processes. They can ease the diffusion of knowledge and ideas, and they can offer greater choice to consumers. As a result, digital technologies are transforming the global economy and accelerating and expanding trade. The WTO estimates that adopting digital technologies would increase trade growth by 2 percentage points per year between 2021 and 2030. For developing countries, that figure would be higher still. All this makes digitalization a powerful driver of more inclusive trade. Digitalization reduces the cost of accessing overseas markets, and this benefits small businesses, women entrepreneurs, and others who are least able to overcome the initial cost of participating in international trade the most. Which means that digitalization can play a critically important role bringing new players into the global economy, which is so important at a time when many businesses and governments are seeking to diversify and deconcentrate global markets and make global supply chains more resilient and less vulnerable to shocks. Digital technologies are also being used by governments around the world to increase the transparency and efficiency of export and import processes. We saw many successful examples during the pandemic. For instance, during COVID-19, some countries adopted emergency measures allowing the use of video conference and data transmission to inspect remotely the compliance of medicines and medical devices with good manufacturing practices. Digitalization was also essential in efforts by many countries to limit physical interaction between traders and customs officials to avoid contagion, for example, through exchanges of electronic rather than paper documents. We must build on this and other efforts to continue lowering trade costs and enable smaller and less resourced firms easier access to foreign markets. Digitalization is changing not just who trades, but also what we trade. Digital technologies are giving firms and individuals the possibility to offer and access a wide range of services that not too long ago could only be delivered in person, from professional and business services to audiovisual, education, distribution, financial, or even health services. This trend was already visible before COVID-19. Indeed, global exports of digitally delivered services have more than tripled since 2005, growing by more than 7% each year between 2005 and 2019, and outpacing the growth in exports of goods and other services. While social distancing measures introduced to fight COVID resulted in an unprecedented 21% decline of services trade in 2020, services that are traded online bucked the trend and surged. Exports of global computer services, just to name one emblematic sector, grew by more than 10% in 2020 and more than 20% in 2021. And it will not come as a surprise that Asia is the region that recorded the fastest growth. Today, digitally delivered services are a $3.7 trillion annual export opportunity. But the trade opportunities associated with digitalization reach well beyond the services sector. Digital technologies also facilitate trading goods. I already mentioned how digitalization can boost the transparency and efficiency of customs clearance procedures and facilitate the adoption of digitalized trade processes such as e-signatures or e-contracts. But there is more. Digitalization also plays an increasingly important role in strengthening the efficiency and resilience of logistics supply chains and facilitating international payments. And digital technologies have driven a surge in the cross-border shipment of digitally ordered parcels. Although the availability of detailed statistics is limited, international business-to-consumer e-commerce transactions were estimated at around $440 billion in 2019, just a fraction of overall business-to-consumer e-commerce transactions of $4.9 trillion. So there is enormous potential for cross-border e-commerce transactions to expand in the years and decades to come. And few countries in the world are better positioned than Korea to harness the potential of digital trade. Korea's share of online retail sales in total retail sales surged to over 26% in 2020, up from 21% before the pandemic. For digital trade to reach its full potential and contribute to inclusive growth, we must address many long-standing vulnerabilities, many of them highlighted by the pandemic. Technology and connectivity disparities across the world, inadequate ICT network infrastructure and technologies, limited affordability of devices and internet connection, shortfalls in digital skills. The challenges are many, and they're holding back the expansion of digital trade, especially in developing and least developed countries. We must also pay attention to the need for sound legal frameworks for the digital economy. Businesses and consumers require a secure and predictable digital trading environment to engage in digital trade, with the highest standards for cybersecurity and guarantees of consumer and privacy protection. We have several policy tools to respond both to the opportunities and the challenges of digital trade, and many examples of countries that have used them successfully. Some of the tools are available domestically and involve policies that channel investment to digital infrastructure, strengthen human capital, and develop appropriate regulatory frameworks. To complement this and other domestic initiatives, we need coordinated action at the global level. Right now, there are no global digital rules, standards, and norms, a situation which creates uncertainty and increases cost for businesses. The absence of baseline rules hampers interoperability and contributes to fragmentation of the digital regulatory landscape, undermining the potential of digital trade to supercharge exports, job creation, innovation, specialization, and ultimately economic growth and prosperity, especially in small markets that are geographically far major global production hubs. The WTO can play an important role in fostering international cooperation to promote more predictable, secure, and inclusive digital trade. Let me mention three main areas of focus. First, the so-called e-commerce moratorium. At the WTO's 12th Ministerial Conference last June, ministers agreed to renew a long-standing prohibition on the imposition of customs duties on electronic transmissions, also known as the e-commerce moratorium. This ban on customs duties will last at least until the next ministerial conference or the end of March 2024, whichever comes first. The extension of the moratorium was a result of a hard-fought negotiation which was closely watched by the private sector. The decision to extend the moratorium secures a predictable environment for digital trade and demonstrates the WTO's ability to stay relevant to current economic realities. WTO ministers also agreed to reinvigorate the work program on electronic commerce, a framework for WTO members to discuss the trade-related aspects of e-commerce and to focus in particular on its development dimension. Second, WTO rules. Though WTO rules do not refer to digital trade explicitly, they apply to trade that is digitally enabled. In fact, WTO agreements do not differentiate depending on the way in which goods or services are traded, which means that the broader WTO rulebook is relevant to e-commerce and already provides a solid foundation of transparency and predictability on which we need to build to ensure that digital trade can expand and flourish. What's more, the WTO offers a forum where governments can monitor trade policy developments at the core of the digital transformation and find pragmatic solutions when a country adopts digital trade measures that pose problems for its trading partners. Current discussions are very vibrant and cover regulatory measures affecting a wide variety of digital issues, ranging from autonomous vehicles and drones to 5G and artificial intelligence. The third and last area of WTO work I want to highlight is the development of new global rules on digital trade. A majority of WTO members think that WTO rules on e-commerce should be updated and complemented to be better adapted to the realities of today's digital economy. Under the so-called Joint Statement Initiatives, or JSI, on e-commerce, 87 WTO members, including Korea, are negotiating disciplines on digital trade-related aspects. The goal here is to harness the opportunities of e-commerce while also taking account of the challenges faced by developing and least developed countries and small businesses in the digital sphere. WTO members who participate in the JSI aim to agree on a high standard and commercially meaningful disciplines that build on WTO rules and involve the widest possible number of WTO members. So far, JSI participants have reached convergence on 7 sets of disciplines, dealing with issues such as e-signatures, online consumer protection, and paperless trade. Negotiations on several other topics, such as open internet access and cybersecurity, are well advanced. Korea's continued active and constructive engagement in these talks is essential as we enter a very delicate phase in the negotiations focused on the thorny issues of data protection and cross-border data flows. In conclusion, there is a lot happening at the WTO on digital trade, and rightly so, given the potential benefits of digital trade, but also the challenges that need to be overcome to turn that potential into tangible benefits for all. WTO members recognize that closer trade cooperation is essential in making this happen. Korea should be commended for its enthusiastic and supportive engagement in all aspects of the WTO's work on digital trade. I very much look forward to collaborating with all of you on this and other key topics in the month and year ahead. Going forward, business engagement will be critical to ensure that the multilateral trading system remains relevant to the realities of the digital economy. KITA, along with other leading industry associations around the world, can bring their weight, experience, and expertise to bear on efforts in Geneva to advance the digital trade agenda and achieve more resilient, inclusive, and sustainable trade. Today's event is a very important step in this direction. Thank you very much.